So he will continue to be a pretty significant spokesperson for the effort. We're hopeful to add more Mike Tysons, but his story is pretty remarkable. He grew up in pretty tough circumstances. Talks about he grew up on food stamps, on the SNAP program, which of course USDA administers, and his sister died of obesity in her mid-20s, that he himself was likely headed in that direction too, until he really turned things around. So I think it's one thing. I mean, I grew up with a single mom. I'm from a small town in Texas, but we didn't face the sort of struggles that Mike faced. But finding those like Mike who can connect with some of the communities that don't know who I am, don't know who Bobby Kennedy is, don't care, but hearing from someone like Mike in that cultural moment, I think could really help us change the trajectory of health in this country, and I think he's going to be a big part of that.
Any television plans,
yes,
things like that with him? Or?
All of the above. And one of the I'll finish with this. Joe Gebbia runs our kind of branding operation. He of course was the founder of Airbnb. Young guy, walked away from everything to come into this administration and work with us to basically brand, but really tell the story to America on all the things we're trying to do. I've got him working on some farmer stuff. He's worked on some Making America Beautiful things with Secretary Burgum, but his team has really been the one behind the Eat Real Food. And I think that's a really important piece of this. There's a lot of policy making in Washington and a lot of wheels spinning that never make it out into the corners of America. But I think when you take a Mike Tyson type figure, the leadership of President Trump, and you combine that with, I believe, some pretty impressive and compelling storytelling that's happening, I'm very hopeful that ultimately the end game of all of that is to help Americans and hopefully help them achieve the American dream.
One more on climate. On the president's announcements today on rolling back some climate regulations, do you have any insights on how that could affect America's farmers, farmland? Give us some insight.
No, I actually really appreciate that question. So I obviously have not been involved in the current effort that's going to be announced today, which is rolling back the endangerment finding. However, having said that, I have for many, many years talked about, researched, written about that specific government regulation was so detrimental to the consumers of America. For our farmers, what this means, I don't have the numbers in front of me, I think we're still crunching them, but as we're working with our farmers every day, trying to bring the average cost of input down from 40% increase is what happened under the last administration, this significant, and I don't think Administrator Zeldin is overstating when he says this is the largest deregulatory effort in American history, that is true. But what that will mean for our farmers in terms of less cost, being able to produce, more crop or more produce at a more efficient way, that is all part of the president's deregulatory agenda. But this removal of the endangerment finding is just going to be huge regarding what they're required to have in their tractors, the emissions, etc. Is now going to take a huge burden off. So we're very grateful for that. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.